Now and forever, we bring IT to life.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by. Good day and welcome to the monthly Connect with Remedy webinar series. Today's call is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the call over to your host, Mr. Greg Keoy. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Paula, and welcome everyone to the Connect with Remedy monthly webinar series. This webinar series is intended for BMC customers and BMC potential customers. The effort is to provide additional information on our products. Today we're going to cover Remedy version 9, and you can follow us at BMC Software, hashtag Remedy 9, and hashtag Modern IT. Today, Tony Meyer, our Principal Product Manager, will take us through Remedy 9, as well as Peter Adams will take us through Smart IT. I'll turn it over to you now, Tony.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I'm really excited to be here and talking to folks about Remedy 9. It's been a long time in the making, and in fact, one of the interesting things is in our chat we've already had 4 or 5 different comments and questions about when Remedy 9 is going to be available, and I'm really happy to say that it's going to be a matter of days that you're going to be seeing GA notices going out so that it is available, it's downloadable, and we have just a ton of capabilities that we need to go over today with you. So I'd really like to jump in and get started. Again, as Greg said, myself and my colleague Peter, we're going to be going through all of the capabilities, and there's a lot of things to cover. It really starts with how we're thinking about Remedy 9. It's a new way of thinking that we've had over the last year or two, and this is all culminated into this release. We're going to go into some of the new reporting capabilities, really great things that give the insight that customers are needing when it comes to reporting. Peter's going to talk about Smart IT and MyIT, and then it's going to hand it back to me, and I'm going to talk about even more power that we're implementing within the platform, within the Remedy platform. At the end, we're going to wrap up with some Q&A. And as we're going through this, we have a lot of people online, so as we're going through this, if you want to put your questions in the Q&A panel, I've got a whole host of colleagues that are kind of waiting for you guys to ask all of these questions, and we're going to have opportunities to look at some of those questions as we go through this, as well as, like I said, at the end, pause and open up the line so that we can have some good dialogue. So, Remedy 9, it really represents a totally different approach for us from what we've done in the past, how we've delivered in the past. We've really been hyper-focused on understanding our users. This is really evident with the direction we've gone with MyIT and with Smart IT. And what that does is it really helps identify and solve our customer problems, our real customer problems, with a special focus on providing an amazing...
Okay. So what I was talking to myself for quite a while, so I'm just going to start at the beginning again. I apologize, everyone. So Remedy 9 really does represent a totally different approach for us from what we've done in the past. We've really been hyper-focused on understanding our users, and not just our users, but the problems that our customers have, and trying to solve those problems with a really special focus on creating an amazing user experience. Our mission overall has been to help users get better at their jobs in a way that makes them much more engaged. And really that's what Remedy 9 is all about. It's about being smart to help people do things in a more efficient and productive way. It's about creating an experience that you might describe as beautiful, which really goes deeper than what it looks like, but how it makes you feel when you use it and how productive it actually makes you. And the last area is just around the platform itself and the powerful solution of the platform. We all know that Remedy is known for its scalability and its flexibility. We've introduced even more platform capabilities with Remedy 9. And really, overall, IT, you guys that work in IT, you really have complex problems, and you have to solve these problems every day. And we feel that Remedy 9 is going to give you that ability to help manage this complexity in the most efficient and simplest way possible. So what do we mean when we talk about to be able to work smarter? I want to work smarter. I'm sure you guys want to work smarter altogether. I think really what it means is to be able to put the right information at your fingertips at the right time through the most intuitive and beautiful experience possible. It not only helps you be more productive, but it can also provide unparalleled insights into your data itself. Great example of this is a study we recently did with users of Smart IT. When we compared the way that they worked before with the way that they worked using Smart IT, we found that they increased their throughput by up to 75%. That's a huge optimization when you're talking about being able to get as much work out of your folks as possible to provide the best service as possible to your business. Another really key area that we focused on in Remedy 9 is to unlock the insights that our customers have in their ITSM implementation through a really powerful analytics solution. And this is the first area that I want to dive into, is the new smart reporting that we've implemented within Remedy 9. What we have a lot of different ways of reporting today. We've got dashboards and analytics that really speaks at a high level. It's really more of a data warehouse type of implementation that people have been using for ITSM analytics. We also have our in-app reporting solution, which is pretty good when it comes to looking at specific tables, specific data. But ultimately, our customers want more. They want more flexibility. And typically what happens is they'll go and say, just give me the data, just dump it down. I'm going to go and put it in Excel. And I'm going to use Excel in order to slice and dice the data. Excel is kind of known as the oldest BI tool out there. So we kind of saw a gap between the two. We saw this really high-level solution that was meant for big data and data warehousing and is more complex than people need. And we saw this fairly basic solution that doesn't really provide the flexibility and self-service that people need. So we've addressed that with smart reporting. We've implemented a solution that is very actionable from a content standpoint, provides really intuitive self-service mechanism, and leverages a lot of the social capabilities that we have that people are expecting when it comes to being able to work with IT, work with solutions within IT itself. So I'm going to go through some of this and give you a bit of a preview of what that looks like. The first area is around this actionable content. We wanted to go and provide as much content out of the box that we could, but we kind of took a step back to a certain degree. We said, you know what, we're not going to go and recreate the hundreds and hundreds of reports that we have out there. We know from a customer standpoint that customers use 5 to 10% of those reports and create their own. So we wanted to take a very persona-driven view of the problems that these roles that we have, these personas that we have, the problems that they want to uncover using reporting. And we've put in place a series of really visual dashboards and really interactive reports so that people can slice and dice that data. They can start at a very, very high level, and they can drill into the data to really understand the insights that are captured within that data itself. We have over 90 out-of-the-box reports and dashboards, and we're going to be growing that over time. And one of the key capabilities that we have as well is this concept of key performance indicators. So there's a whole bunch of reports and dashboards that go against your operational data. And your operational data you can think of as somewhat narrow in scope and probably very deep when it comes to content. So you might be looking at things on a weekly, a monthly, a daily type of basis, but you have all of the data available. And key performance indicators actually is you're able to look at things over a series of months and quarters and years so that you can look at trending. You can understand the direction your data is going, and you can identify areas that you need to optimize in order to provide better service to your customers. So key performance indicators is a really, really crucial thing as organizations are looking to go and measure themselves and improve overall. The last thing around the actionable content is that, you know, we've provided some pretty good out-of-the-box content. We think it's pretty good out-of-the-box content, but there's always going to be room for different content being provided from a customer standpoint. So not only do we have great visualization, great out-of-the-box content, but we also have this mechanism of self-service and being able to get into a self-service analytical type of situation so that you can push this out to your users and you don't have people lined up to a centralized reporting org that typically don't get their reports anyway because they're too overwhelmed. If you look in the screenshot on the left-hand side, it's a very intuitive way of looking at building and creating data structures and then being able to visualize those data structures and then being able to attach the data structures together so you have a very logical way of going from a high level to a very, very discrete level so you can, again, get those insights into the data that are captured there. On the far left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a list of fields. We've created a data model that abstracts all of the complexity that you have behind the scenes when it comes to the data and how data is stored. We've abstracted that into a data model. We also have capabilities like, for example, calculated fields, where you can go grab a calculated field, you can drag it across, and you can start using that as opposed to having to think about how you need to go and create those calculated fields. It's very interactive. From a visualization standpoint, as you've seen on the previous screen, you can go and visualize things all different ways, whether they're bar charts or column charts or pie charts or scatter charts. All of those types of things you can visualize very, very easily just by dragging and dropping, creating that data, and then visualizing the data itself. The next area that I wanted to talk very, very quickly about is this concept of social and collaboration. And what we've found from a reporting standpoint is somebody would go and say, this is a great report. They would go and print the report out. They would capture it as a PDF. They might email it around to different people within their organization. They might get comments associated with it. They might have some meetings. They'll capture decisions based on the meetings, based on SharePoint or posting something or sending something based on emails. All of that context, all of that conversation that you've had around that report, it's lost as soon as you send it out of the tool. So we wanted people to stay within the tool. We wanted people to collaborate with their colleagues in the tool. So as somebody is creating a report, you can go and annotate that report. You can comment on it. You can go and follow specific reports. You can bring your colleagues into the conversation based on chats and based on commenting for specific reports itself. You also have this concept of timelines, so people can go and look at the timelines, what have they worked on. They can go and publish things. They can go and broadcast things. And what this really does is it keeps people in the solution itself. It keeps the context of the conversation within the solution itself. It captures the decisions within the solution itself. Last area around collaboration and social is mobilization. You'll see coming up when Peter talks about what we've built on top of our already released Smart IT 1.0 solution is a really, really powerful mobilized solution. And analytics is no different when it comes to how we think about mobilization, how we think about the personas that need data when they're not in front of their computer. So this is all rendered in HTML5, and very shortly we're going to be coming out with a mobilized native iOS and Android clients as well in order to mobilize that data and view that data where you need to view it, whether that's within meetings or whether that's just talking with colleagues away from your computer. So a lot of really exciting things when it comes to this new capabilities. This is all net new. It's all included with ITSM from a suite standpoint. It's not an additional license. If you're an ITSM customer, then you get access to all of this capability. We're really excited to deliver this. Why don't we take a few minutes and maybe look at some of the Q&A that's happened. If you guys have any specific questions. Greg, is there any questions that have come through that we might want to highlight?
Yeah, Tony, one of the questions is this new reporting dependent on ITSM 9 or is it within AR System 9.0?
That's a great question. This is tied to ITSM from a licensing standpoint, ITSM 9.0. Some of the bits are deployed from an AR system standpoint, and theoretically, from a technology standpoint, it might work with non-9.0 reporting, but everything that we've done from a testing standpoint, from a content standpoint, is tied to the ITSM 9.0 applications, and it's supported based on the 9.0 applications.
Okay, thank you, Tony. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Peter for the next section.
Great.
Thanks, Greg. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks, and welcome everybody. Very excited as well to be able to share a bit more about what we're doing with MyIT and Smart IT, and I hope I don't run into any audio issues here as we go. Our customers have been doing amazing things with the remedies. You've been using it for years, you invested in it, and you manage critical business services, you reduce the risk of changes, you're processing millions of incidents and requests each month, amazing things, and I talk to a lot of customers as a product manager. Right? But you probably have noticed that there's a challenge growing in your user base. The expectations have been rising around usability. All these users are using mobile devices at home, smartphones, to interact with their bank. On the weekend, they use modern web applications, and the bar in general has risen around user experience quite a bit, and they see intelligent, modern mobile and web applications, and of course they want to use that once they're in the office on Monday as well, when they work with their ITSM solution. And so that leads to frustration that may have been reflected in surveys that you've seen if you do those inside the companies. That may also result in high expectations from your leadership team. And so we within BMC have embarked on this investment around user experience with MyIT and Smart IT, and that is the new user experience for Remedy. And we believe this is clearly the best ITSM user experience in the market. Not only do we deliver this fully on mobile devices, we've also invested quite a bit into understanding what users really want and need, and have come up with innovative new ways how to perform IT service management activities. So it's more than just building a beautiful modern UI. Yes, we've done that, and you'll see some of those screenshots in the upcoming slides, but we really have tried to solve the problems that these users have. That's part of the user research that we're doing, and solve them in new innovative ways, not just copying the same old approach that you see everywhere, filling out forms, etc. It's really about having an active, context-aware, intelligent and smart application that makes life easier and more pleasant for those users. And so you'll see the benefits of that with happier users, with more productive users, with users that are, more likely to follow your policies and processes inside the company. And all of that is the good thing. It's available for you without additional license fees, right? This is all part of the Remedy solution and can be deployed without any additional license fees, and leveraging all the investment that you've done in the back end around foundation data, around policies, around the service catalog, etc. So that's the great benefit of the approach that we have here with Smart IT and MyIT. So what I'd like you to do over the course of the next few slides is the good thing is Smart IT and MyIT can be rolled out incrementally. It's not a complete switch from the existing user experience to the new one. You can pick specific groups. You can first roll this out on the mobile. You can have pilot users. And so what I'd like you to do over the course of the presentation, think a little bit about which user groups within your company would benefit most from it and would probably be a good target for an initial rollout here, because again, Smart IT and MyIT have that flexibility that you can incrementally introduce that new experience. It's not a big bang introduction to your users. I want to touch on three main topics here in my section of the presentation. Two of them you see here today. These are the two main areas that we introduced with the upcoming Smart IT 1.1 release, where we're expanding the coverage of the personas towards knowledge authors, as well as selected change personas. On the change management side, we have structured this in two phases. We're not covering everything in this release, but we do target specific personas that work with a change management solution, most specifically the specialists and approvers. And I want to touch a little bit more on that part. And then I also, as a third topic, want to talk about the great new capabilities that we roll out to business users, to end users with our new release of MyIT version 2.5. So again, I already mentioned the two first topics here. That is, of course, the biggest enhancement that is coming in Smart IT with every release, and we follow here a very iterative release cycle. Roughly every 3 to 4 months that we have a Smart IT release so that we can quickly expand the capabilities. With every release, we're also taking customer feedback that we heard about previous versions and put that into the product and refine the experience for the personas that we already cover, or in some cases also expand the capabilities. So that is a very essential part of our user experience design process, that once we roll something out, we do a lot of testing and collect feedback, and then very quickly build that into the product to iteratively refine these capabilities. So in the 1.1 release, for example, we are adding a phone system integration for the service desk personas that we had introduced in 1.0. We have improved the way how assignment works based on customer feedback, show more information about the customer, VIP flags, etc. I mean, all these are things that are customer driven, and that's an important part of our process. But let me touch on the first topic around knowledge, knowledge author persona. Again, this is a complete new interaction. We had been introducing the display and search and display of knowledge in version 1.0, but with the version 1.1 that is coming out as part of this release train, we're introducing this complete new modern experience for knowledge authoring, basically creating articles, updating articles, managing the life cycle of articles, what a knowledge author would do, or if your service desk agents have those permissions, they can of course do this as well in the Smart IT solution. And so you see complete modern web experience. You can edit both the article content as well as the metadata here on the right side on one screen. Still you have an expand option that you can use the entire screen real estate for your content as you're editing it. As always, we look for smart interactions for building smartness into the solution. So in the case of knowledge creation, we have built a capability in that would proactively go out and search the knowledge base for similar articles. Once you started entering your article title or some of the information in the content area, the system goes out and proactively searches for similar articles so that you can avoid article sprawl, duplicate articles of the same theme, and the system even supports the user in merging content between versions, right? So this is extremely helpful to avoid article sprawl, and again it reflects this kind of smartness that we build into all these interactions. But overall, just a great new modern experience, and by the way, you notice that we have updated our default branding that can of course be adjusted to your specific corporate branding, as we can always do with Smart IT and MyIT, and for the Remedy ITSM UI as well. Second topic I wanted to talk about is, as in line with our bet on mobile support and seeing mobile UI as really a primary user interface, a platform here is we build all the capabilities around knowledge management into mobile devices. And so you can, from your tablet, from your smartphone, create articles, edit articles, manage the life cycle. Again, it's really the full comprehensive capabilities that we build also for the web. And some users may say, hey, maybe it's not too efficient to create a 10-page article on a smartphone, but there's still many use cases where a mobile knowledge editing and updating capabilities useful if you're at a desk and you find out, or on site at a technical location, and you find out that an article is not cut right, you can at least make adjustments to it very quickly, and that is something you could do on the phone. Or if you're on the plane and, you know, for once you don't have meetings, you can actually start creating an article, and maybe some of the end formatting would happen at your desk with a web UI, but at least you can start the seeds of a new article as you're, you know, in transit and have some time and are not in meetings. So we really double down here on mobile device support, and we believe there's going to be a lot new ways how to do knowledge management through the support of mobile devices. Second topic is around change management. As I stated, we focused here a lot around a specialist type persona, so a persona that would submit changes, in some cases have to update the change records or the task records. In general, persona that, you know, maybe works less frequently in the change management module as a change manager does, right? And those, you know, were often the users who provided most feedback in terms of improving the experience of Remedy. And so we focused a lot on these occasional users. And the approach, for example, that we took for creating change requests is, you know, based on what we heard from those users, that they need more guidance of what actually needs to be filled out. We built a wizard-based interaction here that received great reviews during our beta test, our short beta test that we did. You see here on the left side a number of steps that users go through. They basically are guided through the right steps of filling out a change request, and can do this very efficiently because the right information is presented at the right time, including, and again, it all takes into account what you configured in your backend. For example, the risk questions that you may have defined in your change management modules. These are all the configuration information, templates, etc. All, of course, is visible here in Smart IT as well. It leverages that fully. And then, again, as stated, all this can, of course, be done on the mobile device as well. This is a screenshot here of our tablet form factor, looking at a change request, and this is one that requires approval. So as I stated in the overview, approvals is something you can do as well in Smart IT. You can review all the details of a change request, including any documentation, and then you can take action, whether it's on a mobile device like here, or whether it's on the web version. You can take action, approve it, reject it, leave additional comments, collaborate, ask other users questions. Here on the right side, when it comes to approvals, you can collaborate, ask questions. Great new experience that received a lot of positive feedback as well. And so the third topic is around MyIT. Here the focus is on the one hand around configurability of the user experience. We understand that every customer is a little bit different, and we already have a number of ways how you can configure your experience in MyIT and Smart IT around branding, etc. But we further expanded this here in MyIT 2.5 so that you can really build a custom experience, what shows up in the home page, how your catalog is assembled. You can build really a custom experience for your specific company very easily in MyIT through configuration rather than customization. So MyIT 2.5 has a lot more flexibility around how the UI can be built, and we also deliver a predefined integration into CLM so that you can request also cloud services that are delivered through CLM, our CLM solution, from a MyIT user experience. So you have that same great experience that MyIT delivers when you request cloud services directly from MyIT. So again, the key point is here, again, with MyIT and Smart IT, BMC delivers the best ITSM, the most innovative experience in the market, with the formless approach, with the social capabilities, with the crowdsourcing in MyIT. The by far the best and leading capabilities around user experience, and not only with a beautiful UI, but really a UI that makes users more productive, and you see much happier users as you roll this out in your company. And again, you can do this in a gradual, very easy approach because it sits on top of your existing Remedy ITSM and SRM implementation, and doesn't require a lot of configuration. You can roll this out very quickly. So with that, I'd like to open it up for questions as well. Greg, is there?
Yeah, I think the questions our panelists have answered. There's just really too many to really pick a high point question to ask. So at this point, I think we'll transition to back to Tony to talk about the power of the platform. Tony?
Okay. No, that's great. Can you guys hear me still okay?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm a little paranoid now. Thanks, Peter, for that. That's, you know what? That really is a smart and beautiful experience. I'm telling you, with Smart IT, MyIT, with the new smart reporting, it's really exciting for us, and I hope it's exciting for the folks on the line as well. The questions that have been coming in are absolutely fantastic. Keep going with the Q&A panel. We've got people on the back end in different parts of our organization that are answering the questions as well, and it's a great way for you guys to get your answers as quickly as possible. And at the end, if you don't have those answered, then we can open up the lines. You guys can ask us some more things at the end. So let's talk a bit about the power of the platform. As I mentioned initially, Remedy has always been known as an extremely powerful platform. It's got scale, it's got flexibility associated with it, and we've really focused on expanding the platform. And this is probably one of the first times that we've really focused on the platform since, before version 7. I would say version 7 and version 8, we've had platform enhancements, but they've been kind of incremental. We really feel we've put a lot of time and effort into this platform enhancement. It really starts with some of the basic capabilities within the platform and extends into the CMDB as well, and I'm going to cover some of those areas. The first big area is around the actual server itself, and this has been in the works for the last 2 to 3 years internally. We've deployed it internally. We've actually deployed it from a Remedy on-demand standpoint, so we have some key customers that are live in production using this. We have now 100% Java within the server component itself, which is a huge thing. It really does help our customers, and it helps them kind of indirectly because it helps us innovate faster and deliver out more innovation to our customers. It also helps us support you guys better when it comes to being able to go and look through the code and resolve issues a lot more quickly. And ultimately, this is something that is not going to change any type of implementation you have. You don't have to go and recode your active links or anything else associated with it. It is all behind the curtain. And the reason why we've been able to we think we've been able to achieve all of these things going forward is because we've really focused on optimizing the code in the back end. And in fact, we've reduced the code by 40 to 50% in the server itself. So it's a much more optimized code set that we have that really allows us to provide this innovation and better support. The other thing that customers can do with this, now that the server is 100% Java, is you can now use your monitoring tools that you have in your data center that are Java-based monitoring tools in order to monitor the application. And that could be a great advantage to a lot of people as they're thinking about standardization around Java tools and the applications that they have. And the last thing is just a caveat here is there are some plugins that we have that are in C still, and we're going to be moving those over to Java. But the core of itself, the server itself is 100% Java, and we're really, really excited by that. It sets us up for the future. Another big area in Remedy 9 has been upgrading, and I'll be honest with you guys, I mean, every time we have a release, I see that we've done something with upgrading. We've made it easier, and we have taken incremental steps towards upgrading. I feel that this is one of the first times where we've really taken a step back around upgrading, and we've tried to address some really holistic problems that we've had with upgrading. The first one is providing much more visibility into where you sit from an upgrade standpoint and giving you the information that you need in order to progress through the upgrade process. Personally, I've gone out, I've printed out our documentation, and the documentation, I kid you not, came up above the top of my desk. So when upgrade goes fine, everything is great. When something happens during upgrade, people can get lost with all that documentation. So we've implemented this interactive upgrade tool, as you can see on the left-hand side, that steps people through the process of upgrade so that you can get the right information at the right time, as if there's any areas where you stumble. The second big area is around a non-evasive upgrade for the platform itself. And what we found is that customers would go and run a platform upgrade. They'd get halfway through, and then they would realize there's some environment variable that needs to be changed. And then they would continue to run it, and they would get 3/4 of the way through, and they'd identify something else that needed to be changed in order to run it all the way through. And instead of continually going through and trying to figure this out as you go and restarting, we wanted to provide the ability to put in place pre-checkers. And these pre-checkers will go out and understand your environment, they'll check your environment, and they'll provide that information to you before you run through so that you can make the adjustments that you need right up front. So what we've seen, and we've actually taken over 20 customer databases, and every time we've taken a customer database, we found something that might need to be tweaked, something that might need to be added. But what we've seen is we've seen all of these specific variables being added into the pre-checker so that we can have a very solid upgrade for our customers. The third area is around reconciling your customizations. This has been, there is no magic bullet when it comes to understanding business logic and auto-magically kind of merging business logic. But what we found is that customers need a way of understanding what they have, what we've introduced that might conflict, and what do you want to do about it. And we've introduced this customization reconciliation tool by extending Dev Studio to provide this tool. And it gives you exactly that visibility, exactly the visibility of the things that conflict, and provides the facility for you to make that decision as to what you want to do. Whether you might want to go and say, I want to take my existing customization, I want to maintain it, or I want to get rid of my existing customization because what you've implemented replaces it. Or I might want to do something totally different. This is my opportunity in order to change this. So we're really excited by this. We think that it's going to reduce the amount of time that people take to reconcile customizations as they upgrade, between 40 to 50%, based on a medium level of customizations as people are going through. The last area around upgrading that I just want to mention is we've introduced this opt-in call home feature. And what this is doing is this is starting to establish a communication with our on-premise customers so that we can understand what they're doing when it comes to upgrade specifically. And all we're going to be doing, again, it's 100% opt-in, but all we're going to be doing is just collecting the steps that you go through from an upgrade standpoint. So as support, if you phone in and say, hey, I've gotten to this point and I'm stuck, we can actually turn around, we can actually see what you've run so far and how far you've progressed. Now, this is not sending any confidential information. In fact, it's not even sending logs at this point, but it establishes that communication so that we can more proactively help you from a support standpoint, and you're going to see more and more enhancements when it comes to this call home feature so that we can really understand the problems that you might be having with the solution itself and how you use the solution going forward. A lot of exciting things around upgrade. Another big area is around integration. I saw a few questions on the Q&A panel around integrations and what we've done around integrations. We've introduced now a RESTful API. We've had a SOAP-based API. We've had, obviously, our ARC APIs as well as the Java-based APIs. There's a lot of different ways to integrate with Remedy. And what we found, especially in this day of cloud-based type of integrations, whether that's cloud to cloud or cloud to on-premise or on-premise to cloud, we found that REST is fast becoming the standard out there. I kind of liken it to the beta and VHS wars that we've seen, and VHS has come out kind of victorious. And I think that between REST and SOAP, in the days of cloud integration, REST seems to be coming out as well. So we've implemented a create, read, update, delete type of operations from a platform as well as a CMDB. So now you can go and interact with your solution based on REST for those specific operations. We've also added some additional operations. We've added the merge capability as well. So if you send something in, it already exists and it's going to update. If it doesn't, it's going to create. Also from a CMDB standpoint, we've exposed graph walk capability. So you can actually walk through your CMDB through the RESTful interface, which is really, really great. How we've done this is on the back end, we've provided what we call a feature called associations. And what associations do is it actually describes the data structure. So now when you go and look at, as an example, you might want to go and say, give me this specific incident, but give me everything related to this incident. Now we can provide back in a JSON format the incident, the tasks associated with the incident, the attachments, the work logs, all of that in a very well-represented hierarchical JSON format. So now you can really see all the depth of the applications itself based on, again, this association feature that we've implemented. The other great thing about REST is that it's native to the platform itself. So if you go and extend Remedy, if you go and have custom applications, if you've gone and personalized something, it's automatically available. So you don't have to go and code anything differently. Now, we still are suggesting that you go through interface forms for things like inserts and updates. And the reason why we do that is because there could be some fairly complex dependencies on the back end from an insert and update standpoint. And the interface forms actually take care of those complexities. But everything is exposed to you when it comes to the back end portion of things. So you could go directly to an incident. You can go and say, give me this incident or this range of incidents, and you'll get all of the information back as opposed to having to piecemeal it or go through from a limited visibility point of view. We're really excited from a REST standpoint. The other area that we've invested in, and we've leveraged that concept of archive, is around, that concept of associations is around archive. So today we have archive out of the box, but archive is really tied to one form. And as you guys know, the ITSM applications and typically custom applications, they're fairly complex. They have multiple dependencies. So if you want to go and archive a parent, you want all of the children to be archived as well. So again, we've leveraged this concept of associations that describes this complex application. And now we're able to go and say, I want to archive an incident that is older than 18 months, that is closed, and I want to go and take that and put it into an archive, and I want to take everything with it and put it in archive as well. This is available out of the box, so we've gone and created or configured archive for ITSM applications. When you upgrade to the ITSM applications, you'll get these policies, these new policies, you'll get these new associations that describe all of the data structures. If you don't have ITSM, or if you've extended ITSM, you have custom applications, you can still use, again, this is a platform feature where you can use this feature in order to configure your application in order to implement archive out of the box. With archive, we've also implemented this concept of continuous archive. So instead of going through and every month or every quarter, you go and run an archive job and it hits your production, or there's slowdown from a production standpoint. Instead, we wanted to introduce this concept of, on an hourly or a daily basis, we're just pulling off small pieces of data. So it's a low priority thread on the back end that just pulls off this data so that you don't see any impact from a performance standpoint, and archive is just something that continuously runs. The last area around archive is the ability to go and get the data from archive as well. So let's say your policy is, I need 2 years of data in production, I need 5 years of data in archive, and then after that, I just want my data. So we have the facility now to dump all of that data down, including reference to attachments, and you can go and take that and put it on low-cost storage or throw it out or whatever you want to do with it. So lots of things happening with archive that we've kind of solved that problem. We feel that we've solved that problem that customers have had around archive by providing it out of the box. Search is another area that we really focused on, and it's been an area that we haven't focused on in the last little while The first big thing that we've done is we've really updated the underlying technology. So Lucene is up to 4.6 and Peak is up to 1.6, and that inherently just gets us a whole bunch of benefits. It gives us more documents that we're able to search. It gives us better scalability. It gives us better performance, less defects associated with it, just by updating those specific components. But we didn't stop there. We actually looked at availability and scalability in server groups as well. So now, and this was introduced somewhat in SP2, but we've taken it to the next level. Now you're able to go and introduce full failover when it comes to FTS. So if you deploy in a server group, you can have FTS servers and across the server groups and have full failover. But not only that, you can also leverage the capacity on those other servers in the server groups in order to help from a scalability standpoint. So now instead of going to one server, and then if your server's overused, you have to go and add capacity to it, now you can start directing traffic across the server group as well. It really helps when it comes to scalability. The third big area is around schema-specific indexing. This has really helped us when it comes to performance. We've had, in the past, we have very big monolithic type of index files, and we wanted to take that and we wanted to break it down into specific areas and have smaller index files. And ultimately, what that's resulted in is searching increases by up to 11 times that we've seen within the lab. So there's a lot of things, again, under the covers that we've done that really helps when it comes to consumption of search and better performance associated with FTS and search overall. Another key area, this is an area that's been driven by Remedy on Demand, our SaaS-based solution, but it's really applicable as well for any large enterprise, and that's really moving changes, which could be data and code across environments. So I know the graphic is a little small, but I'll kind of describe it for you. So you have a change. You have something that you want to do to your system. Your developer goes into Dev Studio. He creates that change. He codes it. He creates the data associated with it. He uses packing lists in order to package all of that up. The developer then sits with the sysadmin, Johnny, our sysadmin, who's our persona for the sysadmin. They sit behind a deployment console, and they create a package based on that deployment. Once they've created that package, Johnny goes and exports that package. Before he exports that package, when he creates that package, what we do is we actually validate it against best practices. So we have a whole bunch of best practices that we've put in place, and essentially up to this point, it's been documented best practices. Now what we've done is we've codified those best practices, and we've put them into this deployment console. So now, as an example, we say direct SQL, not so good. You shouldn't really be doing a lot of direct SQL. So when you go and validate this package, if you have direct SQL, it's going to come up and it's going to say you have direct SQL in this. Do you want to continue type of thing? So once that package is validated, then Johnny can go and create the package. When he creates that package, it puts it into a compressed package that he can store on his desktop. That compressed package has a checksum associated with it. So Johnny then swivel chairs into the QA environment. He goes into the deployment console, and he can go and import that package from a deployment standpoint. We check the checksum, we revalidate it against best practices, and then it exists within that environment. Then Johnny can go and press the deployment button, and he can deploy it within the QA environment, and then customers can, or users can go in and test that. And the same thing happens from a production environment standpoint. So why is this applicable? Well, number one, you're putting the power of deployment into the hands of your sysadmins and your developers without requiring access to the OS, without requiring access to Dev Studio on QA and production environments. So it really helps with separation of duty. It really helps with from a self-service standpoint to cut down changes that might take weeks into changes that could take days. So again, you'll see this new deployment management console, and you'll see this new validation against best practices as well that we've implemented. Now, some caveats with this. We don't automatically pull things from the environment. So if there's something that goes drastically wrong, you have to get the sysadmin and you have to pull it. But that is something that we're looking at in the future, a rollback feature to actually pull things from environments. This is, we think it's really going to help, though, when we talk about, again, separation of duty and optimizing the deployment of data and code across specific environments. So lots of exciting things. It doesn't stop there. We have CMDB enhancements as well, and I know there was a few people that mentioned, are we going to talk about the CMDB? We have done quite a bit from a CMDB standpoint. The first area is just all around performance. We've looked at how we've coded the CDM and the structure of the CDM, and even though it's very, very rational, it's very normalized, it's very inefficient when it comes to how you access data associated with it. So we've implemented a denormalization of the CDM so that you can get access to the data much, much more quickly. And we've also focused on reconciliation from a performance enhancement standpoint. We've seen anywhere up to 2.5 times throughput from a reconciliation standpoint, as well as better CPU usage associated with reconciliation. So we're seeing great results there. We focused on out-of-the-box integrations with ADDM and SCCM as well, so that instead of having to go and create your data sets and create your mappings and do all of those types of things, it's out of the box. You just have to supply some basic parameters around connection, and things start flowing associated with it. The third big area, which is a fairly significant thing, is we now have a new view, a new console that looks at data sets, and you're able to much better and much more holistically manage data sets. And that also includes extending some data set permissions as well. So we've introduced some new data set permissions where you can go and restrict specific areas within the data set by specific users. The last area around the CMDB is being able to go to one specific view and get a health of the CMDB. So what we've done is we've exposed some of these key metrics through some indicators. We've leveraged the capabilities from a reporting standpoint, and we've exposed that from a CMDB point of view, so you can have one dashboard, one view into your CMDB and really understand what's happening within your CMDB from a health standpoint. Lots of stuff, and there's even more, but wait, there's more. We've done just a lot of little things when it comes to the platform, just things that have, might not have worked the best way in the past, or things that we thought, it's just going to be a really good way to make sure that we have more resiliency, more reliability, more visibility into the platform itself. The first area, and I'm not going to go through these in detail, the first area, though, is around email service failover, so being able to have much more resiliency from an email engine standpoint. The second area is just around the management of the platform as well. So some of these things, again, are driven based on our Remedy On Demand organization, and what they're looking for is they're managing thousands and thousands of servers, but also just our customers in general. It's more centralized from a configuration standpoint, so you can holistically see multiple servers. You can look at the threads and see configuration of threads to understand the amount of data going through specific threads, as well as being able to better manage reporting and how reporting is actually delivered up. The third bullet is around better visibility into service operations by looking at API call monitoring as well. So you can see the data that's flowing through your API by looking at these things. And the last area is just around general visibility. It kind of extends that API call monitoring, but it's just around general visibility around logging. So understanding better configuration options around logging, putting more restrictions on logging based on filters, and looking at the actual consistency across logging itself. So these are little things that we've done that we really feel are kind of annoyances when it comes to customers, when it comes to our operational organization, that you guys are really going to benefit from. Some other areas as well outside of the server from a mid-tier standpoint, we've put some enhancements around response time monitoring, around clustering support as well. So you have the ability now to deploy from a cluster, you've always had the ability to deploy as a cluster, but looking at supporting that deployment from a clustering standpoint, but also extending it into a shared service deployment. So now you can have one mid-tier cluster that serves up multiple AR servers with multiple databases as well. So it's really exciting when you start thinking about that true multi-tenancy being introduced from a mid-tier standpoint as well. We've looked at data management, and we've made some enhancements around data management specifically for the onboarding wizard, being able to easily edit data from an onboarding standpoint. This is really crucial when it comes to new customers as they look towards time to value. It's really crucial when you're talking about service providers or organizations that have different departments, different groups coming on. Being able to go and take that data and very easily move that data into the system is going to, like I said, it's going to help with time to value. And then the other area around data management is the connection, having out-of-the-box connections from an LDAP standpoint for people loading. So essentially just supplying the connection details, supplying the user ID information, and then being able to flow data from LDAP into your people forms through the UDM mechanism. And the last area, which is not the least by any stretch of the imagination, is we've done a ton of stuff around documentation. So we've had the wiki for a long, long time, but you know, when I go and look through the wiki now, it's more interactive than it's ever been. There's videos all over the wiki. You'll see this once we go GA with this, that it's much easier to find information. It's much easier to understand information based on us showing you as opposed to you guys trying to read through it and understand. And the last thing is that within the applications, now we're linking into the wiki documentation. So when you go and look for help now, you can go and click on help, and then we're cross-launching into the specific area within the wiki documentation that's applicable. So a lot of excitement that has been introduced when it comes to documentation. We're going to continue to you know, expand and look at how we can go and communicate more effectively through documentation and through social media and through all of those types of things. So that's a really, really quick high-level view of the platform enhancements, but we've also kind of looked at the compatibility matrix associated with the platform as well. And this is something we do with every release. We kind of look at what we support, and ultimately, you know, it's tough for us to move on from a technology standpoint. It's tough for you guys to move on from a technology standpoint as well. But in order to really support the new and cool things that are coming out that Peter has shown you and I've showed you around reporting and everything else, there's capabilities in older technology that just don't support it. So we have to look towards the future. We have to think about things that we're adding, things that we're dropping in order to really kind of provide the solutions that we need to for our customers. So these are some of the key changes that we've made in this release. The first thing is that we're now supporting CentOS from a mid-tier standpoint. We're seeing much, much more usage of CentOS when it comes to mid-tier. We're also looking at supportability in the future from a platform standpoint, where we just have Red Hat support at this point from a server standpoint. But we've introduced CentOS from a mid-tier point of view. From a dropping of a compatibility matrix, and this is always the most tricky area for us because we have customers out there using this, and one of the ones that we're introducing here is going to be DB2. We're looking to drop DB2 from the compatibility matrix. We did a survey about a year ago with our customers, and we looked at how many customers were using different databases, the direction they were going, whether or not they were really leveraging DB2, and DB2 had a very, very low amount of customers that were using it. So we're seeing a trend of people moving away from DB2, so we're going to be removing DB2 from the compatibility matrix. We've already removed Sybase. We've made an announcement around removing Sybase around 8.1, but we're just going to formalize that. And then we're removing 32-bit server from a Windows standpoint as well. Not just dropping things, but it's also looking at minimum version supporting as well. So now from an IE standpoint, minimum version is going to be 9.0 that we're going to be supporting. The new minimum version for SQL Server is going to be 2008. Oracle is going to be 11GR2, and then the new minimum of 2008 from a Windows Server standpoint. Some special notes here from a validation standpoint. We had a lot to do when it came to our Remedy 9 release. So we're still looking at validating Sun Solaris. It's not supported with a version 9 right now, but we're going to be very aggressive with how we support this going forward in the future. And we're going to be validating that, and if there's anything that needs to be adjusted based on that, we're going to be releasing it very soon. We're also going to be looking at SQL Server 14. We focused on 2008 and 2012. So we're going to be validating SQL Server 2014 very shortly as well. And we're also looking at HPUX and AIX and evaluating our support for those two specific OSs. Again, with DB2, we've seen very, very little usage, and we've seen people starting to move away from those operating systems and those DBs. So we're really evaluating whether or not we're going to be supporting that post-release. Right now, for version 9, we haven't validated it, and we're going to make some quick decisions here as to whether or not we are going to validate it. All right. So one of the, you're probably thinking to yourself, holy mackerel, there's a lot of information here that I've just received, and there's a lot of great new capabilities. How am I going to be able to go and kind of consume all of this? Well, we do have some great solutions from an education services standpoint, and this has actually been one of the first releases where we've really focused on making sure that education was available when version 9 is available. So we've focused on providing some really good content, some really good education around version 9, and I really encourage you to go and take a look at bmc.com/education if you want to go and look at any of the education offerings that we have. We also have, obviously, a very, very rich set of partners that are out there, and they have their education offerings as well. And we've been, again, from an enablement standpoint, from a field standpoint, we've been very aggressive with trying to get the word of version 9 out to our partners and our channels as quickly as possible so that you guys can take advantage of that. The last slide that I have is around this concept of select upgrades, and this is a bit of a pitch to you guys around a program that we're putting in place. We're looking at identifying a selective number of customers. It's going to be under 10 customers across on-demand and on-premise, and helping you through the upgrade process for version 9. Again, we've done a lot when it comes to the beta program that we've had, which ran for 4 months. We've gotten a lot of customer databases, up to 20 customer databases in-house. We ran a program called Camp BMC where we had 4 selective customers come in, bring their data, upgrade their data, and then provide insights into their data. And this is just the next step in that chain of activities that we've done, where we wanted to go and help a customer go and consume Remedy version 9 as quickly as possible. So you can see on the right-hand side, it's a process where we'll take your data, we'll stand up an environment internally, we'll upgrade your environment, that's database and applications. We'll give you all the things that we might have had to do to that environment. We'll give you a readout on that environment. We'll give that database back to you so that you can go and deploy within your environment. And then you take it from there. You go and look at reconciling your customizations, reestablishing your integrations, doing any type of training that you might have to do, and then eventually deploying it. And from a BMC standpoint, we're going to be there on the initial database upgrade. We're also going to be there on weekly calls or bi-weekly calls to unblock anything that you might have from a consumption standpoint. And also, we have our consulting and support organizations that are available as well. So one of the key things with this program is we need governance associated with it. So either you have strong governance internally, where you have your project teams internally and you want to do this yourself, or we have our professional services available, our consulting services available, or a partner, for that matter, available in order to help you through from a governance standpoint, making sure that your project is on the rails and being successful. Our target here is 90 days into production. So from the time we engage to the time you go into production, we want this to be less than 90 days. And the last thing is the compatibility matrix that I just mentioned. It needs to align to the compatibility matrix. So as an example, something that we're going to be certifying a little later from version 9, it's probably not going to be applicable for this program. So if you think you're a good fit for this, if you saw all the things that we spoke about over the last hour, and you thought version 9 is for me, and you want to apply to this program, please do drop me a line. My email is Tony_Myers, that's MYERS, at bmc.com. We already have quite a few people in the program, There's a few spots that are available. So, you know, if you do have that commitment from your organization and you do want this visibility this program can create, then please do drop me a line and be happy to talk you through it. So you've seen a lot over the last hour, and I hope that you agree with me that the direction that we've taken with Remedy 9 is different. We've tried to provide solutions that you know, give you a very, very intuitive and very optimized experience. And it's not just about the beauty, it's also about the smartness below it. It's about getting you engaged and getting you happy to use our solutions. And finally, you've seen what we've done from a platform standpoint. We've really extended the capabilities of the platform. We've got great things coming up past Remedy 9 as well as we continue to invest heavily in the platform and expand it into what we need in the future as well. But at this point, I'd like to open up the lines and maybe we can take some Q&A. I know you guys have been very busy when it comes to the Q&A on the WebEx, but if there's anybody that has a question that you want to jump on the phone line and ask the question, we'd be happy to answer it for you, or try and answer it for you.
Thank you, Tony. Paula, if you could give instructions to our attendees to signal you for questions and also unmute our panelists, please.
Certainly. To ask a question, please press *1 on your touch-tone telephone. Also, if you are using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute button is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Once again, it is *1 at this time, and a voice prompt on your phone line will indicate when your line is open. Please state your name before posing your question. Once again, *1 at this time for questions. We'll go to our first caller.
Yeah, I just want to check. We have done a lot of customizations in the mid-tier. One of the thing was, you know, an ability to send email and respond with rich text and all that stuff. So when we move to the Smart IT, these are some things which are not out of the box. Is there, again, this is a very complex function which may come later, we don't know. The question is there any way to plug a mid-tier URLs back into the Smart IT? Just want to understand if there is any options or a functionality to something like that.
So I can take that. First of all, any backend customization that you may have done when it comes to sending out emails as part of a workflow in the backend, that should continue to work and not be affected by Smart IT. If you truly build a new email UI, so to speak, or customize that heavily, that's again a different situation. So we have to distinguish between, you know, customization that completely run in the backend and customization that you've done for the UI. Those don't automatically all translate. There's often ways how you can bring certain things over into the Smart IT UI, like custom fields, but not all of the customizations translate automatically. At this point, there's no option to add a URL launch into the UI itself, but it is something that we look at very actively. We're going to plan to expand the configuration capabilities further beyond just field configuration around Smart IT, so that is one use case that we look at very specifically.
Was there anything further, caller?
So you said that you're looking at an ability to add URL links, or not? Is it already there, or you guys are looking at it?
No, not in this upcoming release, but again,
okay.
We do have plans for expanding the configuration capability of Smart IT, and that is a use case that we have been actively discussing.
Okay, thank you.
And moving on, we'll go to our next question.
Yes, hello. I have a question regarding the wizard, the onboarding wizard. How will that assist us in onboarding internal providers, for instance, HR, legal, facilities, that sort of thing? What will it actually provide us assistance in doing with that?
Yeah, I can take that. This is Tony. So we've introduced the onboarding wizard in 8.1, and essentially what it does is it allows you to take a more simplified view of gathering your data. So we've simplified the spreadsheets themselves, and then we have a wizard-based approach of kind of taking that data into the system, loading that data into the system, viewing that data, and then promoting it into your production system. So it really does kind of help it take, very kind of complex data, load that data in to the system. So as an example, if you have an ITSM instance and you want to go and onboard your HR organization, you're going to have people, you're going to have new organizations, you might have new categorizations associated with it. It's all about the foundational data and getting that foundational data into the system in as easy a manner as possible.
Okay, so it would help us to basically identify and import in, let's say, services that they're currently providing so we could add to the service catalog?
Yeah, it does help you with that. The one caveat is it doesn't go into your system and identify services. I mean, the source of it is spreadsheets. So you would have to go and identify that. You put it in spreadsheets, and then you'd be able to go and pull it through your system. It doesn't reach out to your system other than the LDAP capabilities, which the LDAP capabilities does reach into your AD LDAP implementation and pull people information in based on the integration.
Okay, so and as far as the spreadsheets, those are like templates that come out of the wizard or that we provide to the wizard?
It's going to be templates that we give you, and then you would populate the templates based on your data, wherever your data might exist.
All right, great, excellent, thank you.
No problem.
And once again, *1 for questions. We'll move to our next caller.
Hi, I had a question about, I came in a little bit late and missed the release date announcement, and also wanted to find out, does the release for ITSM 9 the same date that the MyIT 2.5 and the Smart IT change and knowledge management personas will be available?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I was going to reiterate that because there were I saw a few questions coming in. So I did mention at the beginning that we're a matter of days away from GA. We've gone through a lot of validation. We've gone through our packaging exercises. So in the next few days, up to a week, you're going to be seeing some notifications coming out saying that 9.0 is generally available. With that notification, with 9.0, it does include a release of MyIT, the 2.5 version of MyIT, the 1.1 version of Smart IT, the 9.0 version of AR System from a platform standpoint, and the 9.0 version of the ITSM applications. Now, as I've kind of gone through this this presentation, I didn't really focus a lot on the existing ITSM applications. There are some changes to it. We have looked at things like how we consume archive, as an example, how we've extended the UDM capabilities, like I said, with LDAP, but we haven't really done a ton. In fact, we've done very, very little on the existing ITSM applications. We focused on the user experience through Smart IT, and we focused on the platform capabilities based on the Remedy platform versus the existing applications. But it is a 9.0 version of the applications. It's just very similar from a look and feel standpoint to the 8.1 version of the applications.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And once again, *1 for questions. We'll move on to our next caller.
Hey Tony, hi, this is Ronnie. Thanks for taking the question. My question is more about the ARS platform, right? So earlier on when we started with 9.0, I think I was part of that beta program, and there were like some of the capabilities that were including like you don't have to create a lot of display-only fields, variable. You can create like a Java variable that you can use at runtime. My question is more about the development platform itself. So can you expand on some of the capabilities that are kind of included with 9.0 with, being core Java, some of the common development utilities that we can use as a developer?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit more than what I've kind of covered in this presentation, just because of the depth of the content. Maybe if I don't mind putting Chuck on the line. Chuck, are you there? Maybe you can answer the question specifically.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I'm not muted.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, The server itself will now be implemented in Java, but code written in Java will still have to be through the form of plugins or through the Java API. So we haven't introduced new capabilities specific to Java in this release.
To add on that as well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, my question was more like I heard like in 9.0 there would be like a variable capability where you could actually define variables at runtime, just like you do in Java. I mean,
yeah, we have not introduced anything like that. I'm not familiar with
okay.
what you're describing.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, there is, you know, when we talk about futures and we talk about the direction we are going, there's a lot of really exciting things of, you know, kind of leveraging the platform that we've exposed here from a version 9 standpoint in order to take us in that direction. So it is futures. I haven't kind of talked about futures in this presentation, but there's a lot of conversations going in that direction for sure.
And we'll take our next question.
What are the changes expected on the user licensing side?
User licensing. Peter, do you mind taking this one?
Are you specifically asking around Smart IT or in general, whether we make some changes?
Yeah, Smart IT as well as the platform overall, including ITSM.
So on the Smart IT side, just wanted to emphasize that this does not require any additional user license. We consider this the new experience for Remedy ITSM applications. And so you can use any of the user licenses that you have to use Smart IT. There's an extra user license required. In general, you know, whatever user license you have today, you know, will continue to work with Remedy 9. There's no need to change. Overall, we do look at simplifying licensing overall. That is something that we heard from customers. But again, whatever you have today will continue to work. It's not that you have to change. But it is a topic overall that we have looked at, and we have plans to simplify user licensing for our customers. Again, that's more an optional step. Anything that you have today will continue to work.
Okay. You also spoke about during the course of presentation about, you know, reconciliation being optimized, reconciliation of the code which is taken up during upgrades. Can you, you know, elaborate a bit more on that?
So that's customization reconciliation? Is that what you, or I'm sorry, or was that
yeah.
the CMDB reconciliation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Customization reconciliation.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we've introduced from a customization reconciliation standpoint is, I mean, it's essentially 3 panes. You can think of it as 3 panes from a Dev Studio standpoint. In one pane, you kind of have what you have today, so your customizations that you have today. The customizations do need to be an overlay, right? So if you're not in overlay mode from a customization standpoint, you'd have to get to overlay, and then you can use it. But the first pane would be what's your customization today. The second pane would be essentially what we've introduced from a new release standpoint. So if we've introduced something that has changed or has, you know, changed an object that you've already overlaid, then it's going to be highlighted in the second pane as well. And in the third pane, it's essentially your decision. What do you want to do with that? So if there's a specific attribute that is at conflict, then you're able to go and very easily see what it was before, what we've introduced from a conflict standpoint, and then make a decision as to what you want to do. Once you make that decision, okay, I want to go and keep it as I had it before, then you can just mark that as complete, and you can move through it. So we've created this facility in order to kind of display all of the conflicts that you have, and then you can very systematically kind of walk through those conflicts and then make the decision that you need in order to move to the next step. Now, one caveat with this is this does not change business logic, right? I mean, we're not assuming anything with the business, with your business, why you've done the customizations or how the customization might need to change. All we're doing is we're identifying a conflict, and then you need to make the business decision as to how you want to resolve that conflict.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a very nice feature, I must say. So one question that I had on packing lists, again, that's something, some new things that have been introduced over there, mainly, the validation against best practices. But is there also a feature, for detecting any conflicts between two, package lists or packing lists?
Yeah, I don't know of any feature that's been introduced around conflicts around packing lists. Chuck, again, I'm going to put you on the spot if you don't mind. Has there been anything introduced around conflicts for packing lists?
Sorry, Tony, I was answering a question on chat. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I think the question was around conflicts around packing lists, and so going through the development process and then being able to identify some conflicts that might exist within a packing list. Is there anything that's been implemented based on that?
Maybe we get an example of what we mean by a conflict in a packing list.
So conflict within two packing lists could be, one packing list referring to a field which other packing list has, deleted.
Well, a packing list only contains references to objects. It doesn't contain the actual objects. So the fact that something has been removed from one packing list and is still referred in another one doesn't really have any effect on anything. I would have to know more about how you're using packing lists to understand the problem here.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can get a specific example offline, and we can respond to you directly based on the example.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Are there any improvements, on within approval engine or SLA engine, SLM engine?
We didn't really touch approval or the SLM engine too much. It's still obviously they're both 9.0, but we didn't touch them too much. No.
Okay.
And we'll take our next question.
Is there another question? Go ahead.
Caller, your line is open. Please check your mute button.
No, I'm good. It was already answered. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to our next caller.
Hi, I would like to ask a question regarding the DSO and hub and spoke architecture. Are there any enhancements made to it? And my second question would be, what are the enhancements on the process designer end? So I've heard that there is something to it in version 9.0.
Yeah, great question. In fact, I was thinking that we should have mentioned a little bit more about process designer. I'll answer your first question first. We haven't really added any additional enhancements from a DSO or from a DSO standpoint, so it's as is today. From a second question standpoint around process designer, we have actually focused quite a bit on process designer, and again, I apologize, I should have put that in the slides. The first thing that we did is we really focused on the upgrade and the upgradability of the process designer. It was fairly complex to do, and there was some issues with it when it, essentially you had to reinstall it and things like that. So we really smoothened out the upgrade process for process designer. We've implemented archiving associated with process designer as well. So now if you have process flows associated with a specific incident, when you go and archive, it's going to archive that as well. And then the last thing that we've introduced is the ability to have ad hoc tasking associated with process designer as well. So you can go and add in ad hoc tasking from a runtime standpoint, and that's been implemented in process designer. So there has been quite a bit of hardening improvements and a few enhancements that we've implemented that's really going to help, I think, with folks that use it.
Okay, that's great, because ad hoc tasking is something that was missing since a long time. So
yeah,
good to see it in the new version. Thank you.
We've seen a lot of demands for it, a lot of requests for it, I should say.
Right.
So, pretty excited. Thank you. You're welcome.
We'll go to our next question.
Hello. My question is related to the usability and the look and feel of overall ITSM applications. Are there any changes related to that?
Yeah, so our direction from a usability standpoint is what you've seen with Smart IT and with Smart Reporting and with MyIT. That is the direction that we're going. We haven't implemented a lot of usability changes in the core ITSM applications for version 9.
Okay, so there are more changes related to Smart IT and MyIT, but there will not be any much more changes to the traditional ITSM applications?
Well, I'm not saying that there's never going to be changes to it because, I think there are some things that might make sense that we do implement in the traditional ITSM applications. I would say when we're talking about a really revolutionary user experience that we've talked about that kind of helps people with productivity and gets people engaged, Smart IT is really where we're putting a lot of our effort. And we're, as Peter kind of mentioned, this is something that's been a rolling thunder type of approach. We came out with 1.0 near the end of last year. We're coming out with 1.1 now, so we're really iterating very, very fast with the innovations that we're implementing with Smart IT, and that's really the focus that we're going to put on.
Okay. When it comes to social collaboration, what are we are speaking about? Is it Twitter, Yammer? What are the integrations which are being supported?
Is it specific for Smart IT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, do you mind taking that one?
Yeah, so first of all, there's the built-in capabilities that you have, social features in the tool itself. You can add posts, you can have add mentions, you can follow items, etc. There are ways how you can submit as an end user tickets to, for example, an external social tool that I think would require going through MyIT. MyIT has an option to pick posts up and create those as tickets, and then they can be managed in Smart IT from a backend perspective. So both of these things are available. The social features within MyIT and Smart IT itself, but then as well the integrations with external social tools, right? And Remedy, on the other hand, is also backend integration, more outwards ones when it comes to creating Twitter posts, etc. That's possible as well.
Speaking of Twitter posts, okay. I'm just going to put the caveat out there that if you are on Twitter and you do want to go and post what you think about Remedy 9, what you've seen today, the address is at BMC Software, and we're using the hashtags Remedy 9 and Modern IT. So hashtag Remedy 9, hashtag Modern IT. If you guys are active from a Twitter standpoint, go and put some posts out there.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot for the questions. I look forward for the version 9. It looks great and simple, powerful, especially the smart reporting. So thanks a lot for you.
Awesome. Thanks for the comment and questions. I appreciate it. Yeah. Is there any, I know we're getting close to the end of the hour here. Is there any other questions?
We have one more in the queue.
Okay, very good.
Caller, your line is open. Once again, caller, your line is open in the queue to ask a question. Please check your mute button.
Is there any new functionalities or features in the Developer Studio for 9.0?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, one of the big ones is going to be that three-way reconciliation that we talked about. That's something that is implemented right within Dev Studio. So that was one of the big focus areas that we have was implementation of that. There's some other things as well that we've implemented from a Dev Studio standpoint, and I can get you guys a list. In fact, I can. What I'll do is after this presentation, I can send out links from a documentation standpoint, which should be available when we go GA.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, no problem.
I'll turn it back to the presenters for additional and closing comments.
Okay, here's how you can contact us for information or if you have any upgrade questions. The preferred method of communication is the BMC communities. This will put you in touch with a global community of knowledgeable resources. There is also a wealth of information that is already posted and available on the communities. You can connect through Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you all are excited as we are with the Remedy version 9 release. There will be upcoming webinars that will provide deep dives into the changes covered today within the Remedy version 9 ITSM suite. Check the Remedy webinars page in communities for schedules and recordings from previous events. Once again, thank you for attending today's Connect with Remedy webinar.
Thank you. That does conclude today's conference. We'd like to thank everyone for their participation.
Now and forever, we bring IT to life.